We were gone.
Mm,
We are live again.
are we good?
I think so. Technical difficulties. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Don't know. I pressed something and it all went to shit. I'm sorry. But yeah,
Blame
we're back
Blood
now.
Raven.
Yeah,
He tried to take us out. We're defending Blood and Cheese a little bit. He tried to take us out.
yeah. It's it. We should talk about how it's like season 8. um. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Chat. Yeah, chat is back, and we are back. So apart from that, what did you think about Hugh Hammer? And because we just talked about the small folk, what do you think about um him actually building the Scorpions and actually being involved with like the
I thought that was great. Like, build up the character. Like,
Mm,
that's one thing about Fire and Blood that it doesn't do a great job of, is just giving us more of the characters behind who these people are.
mm.
Right. I thought that was a great introduction. I was really happy with that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely like it, and it will. Okay, we don't want to go into spoilers for the end of things, but it will play a part in what happens later on, I think, because he's seen the ground level. He's seen how everything's how it can be, and I really like the touch of that addition of him and his daughter as well. I think that was
Agreed.
very nice. Yeah, we're back now. The chat is coming back too. Jesus V asks, do you think that the clubfoot will back himself into a corner like Littlefinger by playing all sides of the fence? What do you
Would you
think?
like?
What do you think?
Um, the tough question to answer, given we have book material, so we kind of know where the character's going if they
Hmm.
stay to what the book material is. But it is something that's interesting. He's playing on all sides, right?
Hmm.
He's loyal to like Allison, but then he also seems like he's trying to be useful to Aegon, trying to push him in a different direction.
Hmm.
And it is interesting, right? Will that could that come into to contrast? When you start having the Greens having different interests and what they want to do. Allison wants to avoid as much conflict as possible, whereas like Aemond is already planning war with Kristen Cole, how they need to go about doing things. All that was great setup.
Hmm.
Yeah, it definitely could, right? There's a chance that that maybe he starts getting backed into a corner and has to you know do very desperate actions to stay alive.
I like that he is whispering in Aegon's ear because he's very, he receives it. He's not clever enough to see it through. So I like that dynamic already, and I think um, what I like about Laris' character is that he's similar to how Pycelle was different to the characters. He's standing tall when he's talking to Alicent, so it's like it's this dynamic of this you know like when the acting is also part of it. I'm a bit struggling here. It's 4 a.m. in the morning. I had my coffee. I'm sorry, guys. It's almost
Well,
5 a.m. now.
that's an interesting point that you compare him to Pycelle, because if you even think about it, like Pycelle, when you have Tywin and
Hmm.
Cersei, even him himself kind of like within a family kind of had different sides that he would maybe play. Even in the book, you think about him with Kevin Lannister. Like, it is interesting. That was a really good comparison in terms of what's going on here with Laris, as well as he's trying to play this family member, but then he'll also be counseling this family member because something completely different.
Yeah, and he's
But
different with both. He's not the same guy. Plays it to his
exactly.
advantage, and I really enjoy characters like that. I think with Misaria also, really coming into play now. This will be a nice contrast. Obviously, not as great as Varys and Littlefinger, but still House of the Dragon's own version. Um,
Agreed.
Arya asks, "What are your thoughts on Cregan?" I really liked it. I thought that that was really well done. I would have loved to have more. And we speculated that we would get more for months. Like we thought this was all expanded because there was also like leaked photos of whites and white walkers and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, then Jace is probably gonna be there for like 4 or 5 episodes and probably gonna go north of the wall. But no, we just got 5 minutes. I think it was a nice little tease for now, and I'm looking forward to more. What about you, Eric?
Pretty much the same. I'm really glad with what we got in the north. I was, sitting here expecting, okay, we're gonna have some sort of White Walker plot or something
Mm,
to kind of tie it to, Game of Thrones, and they kind of went the complete opposite. They just had Jace and Kragan kind of bonding, talking about the North and what they're kind of going through. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was a good, interesting way to start the episode. Like I talked about this at the very beginning of the
mm,
stream. I thought it was a very interesting way to open the episode, but it really shows what the priority is or what it
mm,
should be. Right, that's kind of the main theme of Song of Ice and Fire. We're all fighting for the throne, and then there's actually this undead army coming to kill us all, and we're not prepared because of it. So I thought that was a very interesting way to start the season and this episode specifically, and I did really appreciate what we got. I thought, if from what we got, Kragan's going to be great.
Matthew, I can't answer. I can't answer that. Sorry, I can't. I can't go into that.
In the future, we will.
In the future, we will talk about it, Matthew. Universe Explorer, glad you found your way here. And he asks, is the free-eyed raven active during this time period? No, unless you buy into the time travel
Bran
thing,
could be going back in time.
I mean, but yeah, and then unless you free-eyed raven is not, or free-eyed crow is not Brynden Rivers, but that's a whole topic for like
Yeah.
something else. No, like we're not gonna see him in this show. Metal Mass asks, do you think the White Walker photos was just them trolling us? I think so now.
Probably.
Because I don't think we're gonna see Cregan again this season.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense to do that now.
Yeah.
It would kind of feel weird if we're in the middle of the dance and we just cut to a northern plot line now this time. It'd feel really weird. So I would highly assume it's probably, just them trolling us.
Yeah, probably. There was and it was also just a photo that was in the background in the makeup trailer. So it's something that could be easily done to troll us,
Yeah.
The
Or
thing
maybe it was
that
something they thought about doing and they were like, let's not do it. And they were just very in early stages of doing it and they didn't go through with it.
could
Who
be.
knows?
What else is there? Was that Raven at the beginning, Bran spying on Winterfell? Yeah. That was Bran. Bran the Broken.
100%.
The greatest king in existence.
He's got the best story.
Yeah, definitely.
He's coming back to warg all the dragons.
One of these stories of all time.
Yep. His story in season 5 was very interesting. I was a big enjoyer.
Loved it. Oh man. So what are your thoughts going into episode 2 now? So you can speculate.
I am very interested to see how, again, my focus is always on Rhaenyra and Team Black, of course. I will be very interested to see kind of what Rhaenyra thinks of the actions that transpired and that talk with Daemon, and maybe that could lead to some of the issues, and maybe prompting Daemon to go to Harrenhal because they just need some time away from each other. Maybe that could be something. Very interested to see how that all plays out. I'll be interested to see Alicent and Kristen Cole's reactions in the aftermath of what has happened. That should be really interesting and fun. But yeah, I think we're set up for some good episodes, because this is one of those moments where it's kind of like it's a big moment. So then your next episode, you're going to have a lot of people reacting to it, and that will then drive the plot forward to the next thing.
As I've said, the pacing allows for these actions to breathe, and we will talk about smaller scenes for 2 or 3 weeks, and I was not allowed to rate the episodes, but I can rank them. I guess we'll find out. But episode 1 was my least favorite out of the 4 that I've seen. So it's not all over. It's not all gone. And again, Harrenhal is crazy. You're gonna love Harrenhal.
Which is a really good sign, given that, like, me and you, I mean, we might be different from the community, who knows, but me and you, I think, have this as, like, 7 out of 10, 7.5, that's still pretty good starting point. If that's the worst episode of the 4 you've watched, like,
yeah, it is.
We only go up from here, so
I think
that's a good.
I think it's the worst one out of the 4. Definitely. In season 2 of the show, is the Battle of Rook's Rest the main battle? I'll let you answer that one.
It should be. Yeah, it's been foreshadowed in the trailers. It's been kind of foreshadowed in this episode based on the source material. That should be the big battle. Given it seems like we're not getting the Battle of the Gullet, I'm about 99.9% sure that's not happening in this season. So yes, the Battle of Rook's Rest should be our main battle.
Also, Jesus V says, Ricky, now that you've seen 4 episodes, will you remain neutral? Yes, nothing changed, and I really like the small folk focus. So even more neutral now. Also, don't think we don't notice the backlight is always green. Well, I can change that. How about
you may change it, but it's always
official.
green.
That is officially neutral now.
Well, okay. All right. But let me respond to that real quick. Guys, as I've told you multiple times, anyone that says they're neutral or for the small folk, they're secret green supporters. There you go.
Yeah, don't buy that. Don't
let him fool you. Don't let him fool you.
Don't buy it. There's such a thing as a team small folk, and I'm part of it.
I know there is, but yeah, I like, we gotta rub it in, because the meme has got to stay alive.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I know I'm feeding into it by having a green light on all the time, so it's all me, really. Which of the scenes was your favorite? I guess it would be Rhaenyra's and Jace's reunion, and then the funeral as well.
Those are definitely my favorites. I will throw out, so we don't have the same answers, even though I've already said that's my favorite. I will say another good one. I really liked Aegon in the small council scene.
Oh yeah,
with his son. That was a really good one. It was a highlight of the episode for me. Yeah, the pony ride. It
was great.
That was great. It mixed, like, comedy, but without breaking how severe, like, the situation is. Like, it didn't do Marvel comedy. It did comedy right, and that's what I appreciated about the scene.
Yeah.
Also, love you, Zeno. Do you think the dog made it out? That's a big question. The dog better have made it out, or man. I hope the dog has a revenge arc.
Yeah. The dog that was promised.
Yes, the dog that was promised.
What if Nettles...
It gets to bite. It gets to bite its legs of the rat keeper.
Instead of Sheepsealer, what if Nettles claims the dog?
I hope she treats it right. If she treats it right, that's okay. That's acceptable. I'll accept that change.
Arya says, "What are 2 things you didn't vibe with in the episode?" Yeah, that has to be them going through the throne room and Alicent not being there. That's my two biggest, downs.
I'm pretty much on the same boat. Again, my other thing would be something that's not really an issue for this season. It's more like last season. I wish if they wanted to go this route of Allison and Kristen Cole, I wish we would have gotten more of it. Like, if you just compare, for instance, Rhaenyra and Alicent, their build up compared to um Alicent and Kristen Cole, it just like you could tell it feels a little rushed. But I don't. It's not like it's just one of those things where it's like a minor thing. It's not something where I'm like, oh my god, that breaks the whole episode. It breaks the season. The
I'm
season's bad. No,
sorry.
it's like you know.
Nettles riding asteroids, red catcher the dreadful.
That'd be great. Oh,
A pony ride. Oh my
Rick,
god.
you make a fan film. Make a fan film and have that be the main plot.
Oh, I would love to do a fan film. A short film set in Westeros in general. Maybe that's gonna happen at some point. I'm thinking about one. But we'll see, I guess. We'll see.
We will see.
Got 2 more coming next, so it's gonna be a while until I get to that. And also, you need to have the costumes. You gotta have that, get that right, you know, and yeah, copyright and all. But it's not a problem with Star Wars, so who knows?
It's true. I will say. So you had, if I remember right from your ratings, like or your rankings, not ratings, you had episode 2 as your highest, right?
Yes. Episode 2.
Man, we're in for a banger.
Episode 2 is my favorite episode. I'd put episode 4 a second, episode 3 on the third place, and the last place is this one.
Oh, you know what? A scene I forgot about that I'd also throw up in there is one of my favorites is Rhaenyra kind of at the beach, you know, trying to look for a sign of Luke, and I thought that scene was really well done as well. Yeah. I like that one.
What I liked about that one was also that Cyrax seemed to feel Rhaenyra's emotions again, and I like how that is portrayed constantly. It really, can't wait for the Dragon Seeds plot and the Dragon Bonds and how that is portrayed in the show. Really looking forward to that.
I want to address this one because I think it's an interesting topic. How long do you think the hiatus will be between seasons going forward? 1 year or more? The 2-year wait is unacceptable. I am the complete opposite. I think, 2 years, 3 years, like as long as it's a good product. Because when we start going, oh yeah, you only get 1 year, that's when you get things that are rushed. When you get things that are incomplete. You get Game of Thrones, even though they did take 2 years in between, I think season 7 and 8, like take their time to make the show as good as possible, right? Because we're not going to get the Dance of the Dragons again, more than likely. So I'd rather them do it well to the best of their ability than have a rushed product.
Yeah, I think that's bang on. And also just the way stuff will have to look in the following seasons, and the scale. I think 2 years is fair. Is fair, and also we are gonna get Duncan Egg next year, so I'm way more into Duncan Egg than I am for Targaryens and House of the Dragon in general. I know that Egg is a Targaryen, but you know what I mean.
I get that. I mean, there's not going to be a lack of content for A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, think about what HBO's greenlighting, an Aegon show, maybe a Nymeria show. Like, we're sitting here saying, oh, we need House of Dragon next season in a year. Well, we're going to get Duncan Egg, in a year. And then after that, if it's 2 years, you get House of the Dragon season 3.
I mean,
then
they
after
are
that,
filming
okay,
Duncan Egg right now.
Yep.
They're filming it right now, which is crazy.
It's set to come out in 2025. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I think we're going to be okay.
Oh, yeah. The only way 2 years is acceptable is if we get Duncan Egg during the off-season of House of Dragon. Yeah, we will. We will get it next year. Arya asks, do you guys think we'll get Aegon's Conquest by 2027? I don't think so, personally. Because there was talks about starting that with the actual Conquest as a movie, which I think would be pretty damn good.
I think a movie would be great, and then have the Dornish Conquest as like maybe a one-season thing would be fantastic.
That's where it gets interesting, And you do a little time skip and continue with Maegor.
Agreed. I think that would be fantastic.
That would be fantastic, yeah. Duncan Egg, everything else, I agree. Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. It's been on my wish list since forever. I've always wanted a Dunk and Egg show, and still can't believe that we're getting one. Um, Still hasn't sunk in really. Like when we will start to see them in costume or like actual trailers and stuff, I will lose my mind. Like I'm way more invested in the novellas than I am for, and again that's the old topic of Fire and Blood. Than I am for Fire and Blood. So I'm not gonna bring up that again. But I've seen your video. You
Yeah, I did a
was that
video on
planned?
Fire and Blood today.
Was that planned or did it come because
So
of the conversation?
no, but I think it was when I was doing a collaboration with The Advocate. We
Hmm.
also had the same conversation about Fire and Blood because the first topic was, was season 1 a good adaptation of Fire and Blood? And so we got talking about Fire and Blood, and I was like, you know what? Might as well make a video. And like that video had already been done, like a week and a half. I didn't really plan on that, but I was like, okay, it's a good connection to House of the Dragon coming out. So yeah, but I'm the complete opposite, as you know.
Hmm.
I this was the thing that I wanted the most of
Hmm.
anything Game of Thrones could have done. I love this time period. Part of that is because Rhaenyra is my favorite Targaryen specifically, and I knew they were going to do a Targaryen thing. But I love Dunk and Egg. I think
Hmm.
Dunk and Egg will be great for a TV show.
Hmm.
It definitely works. I think it'll be easier to make that a TV show that's great than it is the dance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited, because if House Dragon does well, which I think it will,
Yeah.
they have my trust that it's at least going to be of a certain quality. I think, that opens the door for things like Aegon's Conquest and other stories like that. And I personally, I know a lot of people in the community are not big fans of like having an Aegon Conquest stuff, but I personally would love to see it.
Me neither. Depending on if a movie starts it and if we actually get to see, um, you know, the first Stonish War and stuff, that is where it gets interesting. Like I'm not interested in seeing someone go from place to place and just, there's no real opposition until the Dornish War, so
Yep.
that's where it's at. Arya asks, "How do you guys think they'll map out Game of Thrones content over the next six years? Will it just be House of the Dragon and Dunk and Egg, or could we see Nymeria by 2030 if it goes to series?" I think the Nymeria one might be animated because the scale of that show is just insane, and I think with the stuff that House of the Dragon gets into in the next years, all of the battles and stuff, it's a question of resources as well, and it's a bit of a risk as a new show. But with animated shows, you can go all out. Budget's not a problem for HBO. So we could see
Agreed.
more content than just Dunk and Egg and House of the Dragon, but I'd be surprised if it's not a live action show at this point.
Agreed. Agreed. I think Nymeria being animated is the best decision because it's not. I don't think it's going to have as much interest as something like Dunk and Egg or
Hmm.
House of the Dragon. So I think it's safer to do it that way. Just it's not going to be as expensive for HBO to make, but
Yeah.
hopefully it's good.
Do you think they should just have House of the Dragon be an anthology series which spans multiple periods? We've talked about this on your channel, on your live stream, and I think that it should be separate things. Like I don't
Yep.
think they should go back and do the Magor stuff, and then I think it should be separate things. But it might be um, the most clever thing because House of the Dragon, it's a brand. You recast everything and you start from scratch under a huge name.
I think even if you want to do it, just make it to where the name is still similar to House of the Dragon. Like if you're
Hmm.
gonna do, I think a name that's been thrown out for like a Meg or Annie's thing would be like the Sons of the Dragon. It
Yeah,
still
makes
has a
sense.
similar
Hmm.
name to House of the Dragon, so it has that brand recognition. But you could kind of do that for a lot of things if you're talking about Targaryen stories.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I think it's an interesting discussion because you do got to build a whole nother series up as being this, Game of Thrones product, but I
Well,
think it's better just in general to make it different series.
well, Ryan Condal talked about exactly that right after the first season. He was talking about potentially going making the Blackfire rebellions, which is like, that you just know if he's openly talking about it, those are the kind of conversations they're having behind the curtains. So we'll see. We'll see.
I think
If
Blackfire Rebellion is like the perfect show to follow up House of the Dragon.
Probably, yeah, yeah.
Because then by that point, when House of the Dragon's done, Dunk and Egg will probably be through, a season or two, and it's already going to be kind of built up, alluded to in that show.
Mm.
I think that'd be a great time to have a Blackfire show.
Yeah, and then we would already have seen Bloodraven, for example, in Duncan Egg, and we have a bit of history about the Blackfires and stuff. So
I agree.
if there were to be other live action shows, what would you both want to see? I'll let you go first.
I've kind of already hit on them, a couple of them
Mm.
already. First up, I'd want Magor and Aenys, like, how Magor takes over his rule, how he falls apart. I would have loved that, first of all. Second would be the first Blackfire Rebellion. And we've talked about that on multiple, like in
Yeah.
videos and streams. Outside of the kind of those two obvious answers, I think the first Dornish war would be great. Those would be the kind of my major three. What about you?
If I could pitch anything, I'd love I'd love to have a Bloodraven anthology series where each season depicts another segment from his history and journey, and it ends at the wall, and that would be great. Like each season, let's say you have 8 episodes, depict something else, and we follow this character. But yeah, like you said, I'd also love to see Robert's Rebellion. One day, at least there's gonna be a stage play, tourney at Harrenhal.
That's gonna
So
be cool.
yeah, can't wait for that one.
My thing with Robert's Rebellion is always going to be, I just don't know if George is ever going to want them to really do it because there's so much gray area in
Yeah,
Robert's Rebellion. Me fresh off coming I did a whole series on Robert's Rebellion. There's a lot of stuff that's like left up to interpretation, and it's like, does George, want to give them the secrets that kind of spoil that? And like, they already started, in Game of Thrones with, Rhaegar and Lyanna, but
yeah.
there's more than just that. So I don't know about Robert's Rebellion. I'd love to see it, but I don't know if George would do it until Winds of Winter came out or whatnot.
Is there anything else you want to talk about for the episodes? Before we wrap it up.
I think the main thing that I would say, just overall thoughts on the first episode, just so we can, have it as what our opinions are. I think the episode was good. I thought it was a good starting point. I think, definitely room for improvement. It felt a lot like season 1. I think, this episode probably will get overly hated. I think I even saw it a little bit on Twitter before we went live. And I think, I understand why people have those issues. We've talked about it kind of a lot in this stream, but I thought the episode was good, and I'm excited for next week's episode.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I can only recommend watching it again because I imagine what people are going to be very mad about is them taking away from Damon when they didn't take away from Damon, because I didn't really catch that. That Damon was the one behind everything during my first watch. So, but yeah, can't lie. There's a little bit of wasted potential there. But in general, overall, I really like the yeah, I've
Sorry,
seen
I'm
that.
trying not to laugh as I see the
I've seen
mask up.
that. But in general, I think they've done a pretty good job. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I stand behind that, and I think that yeah, you see how it goes from here. This one was the worst out of the 4 that I've seen, and there's a lot of great things to come.
I think there's a lot of like, and I was guilty of this in season 1 too,
Hmm.
where it's, we're fresh out of watching the episode, like me, or people that, have just watched the episodes, you're really sitting here, you're not processing it maybe all the way.
Hmm.
Like for me, I'm going to be doing another watch before I talk about my full thoughts and do an actual like review for members. But, you know, I think people do need to an extent, look at it for what we got and say, this was a pretty solid project or episode, whatever you want to call it. But yeah,
We'll see. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, hopping on. And
of course.
once again, sorry that I messed it up. Restarted the stream there.
All good.
But you learn, you grow.
Yep.
Looking forward to next week to doing this again. And also looking forward to maybe having a few guests from the Dragon Show on
Yes.
and actually talking to them and adding them to the conversation. But you'll know when I know. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you enjoyed the live stream. And we will see you very soon. Bye bye.